Okay, consistent with Executive N 2920, in-person participation by the public will not be permitted and no physical location from which the public may observe the meeting will be available. Remote public participation is allowed using the Zoom program. Okay, so let's go right into roll call, or we're going to call the meeting to order first, sorry. And we'll do a roll call. We have Lars.
Here.
Margie.
Here.
Jeff.
Here.
Barbara.
Here.
And myself. So it looks good. We've got a full group. And it looks like we do not have minutes from the last meeting. So we can go ahead and skip that. Is that right, Carrie?
That's correct. I do have someone on board doing minutes while Rebecca's out on leave, but it'll take her a little bit to get caught up.
No problem. All right. We can move on to comments from the public regarding items that are not on the agenda. Do we have any emails or any comments, Carrie?
Nope.
Okay, great. Are there any statements of conflict of interest today? All right. Okay, we can go right into the regular agenda. We're going to start with the Upcycle Art Project, Zero Waste Climate Action Committee. We have no written report, but it looks like we have Sunali here to give us a report. Welcome.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, good. So no written report. Basically where we're at, we're still in ideation. I dropped into the chat box the art proposal, like just that outline. It's very lengthy. It outlines the concept and what it hopes to accomplish, the goals, you know, basic parameters, and then our proposal form that we would want to send out to the community. And I guess what my main thing is with coming to the committee today is to see if any of you or the committee in totality is interested in helping us organize and execute the vision. Because I'm personally feeling just there's a lot of overwhelm in my life at the moment. And so if I were to take it on, I feel like I need some support.
Do you want to just recap and tell us a little bit more about what you're doing, and then we can see who would be right for this?
Absolutely. Barbara, did you have?
No, I just could not make any commitment unless I knew more about it, especially the scope of the project and how much time is involved and all that. So
sure. Do you want to know what the components are?
Yeah, just give us a recap and let us know what you think.
Okay. So where we're at the moment is we have a prototype of a sculpture that's being worked on at Orchard View with Nell, who's the art teacher there, and some of the students. We have contacted a few spots, identified a few spots, including the new Coffee and More, which took over the Coffee Cats location in downtown Sebastopol, in the old railroad section. They're part of their thing is art, and so they're willing to host their space as a location that people could gather at and create a sculpture, like a place, you know, that people could come together and make something. And also they're willing to display one of the pieces. So the recap of the project is upcycled sculptures that are ingenuous, you know, that have like, that speak to something that's related to climate change. But the deeper material behind that is having QR codes that would take tourists as well as residents on a scavenger hunt through Sebastopol, and through the QR code, they would be transported to a website that would educate and engage them on different sections of climate change. So water issues, solar, waste, plastics in our ocean. There could be different themes throughout the thing that educate, but through an artistic component, whether it's poetry or song or dance, something on the website that is more joyful and more immediate in its impact than a pamphlet, and also have resources on how to engage with any one of those issues, whether it's personal what do you call it? Personal actions that one can take, anything for the home, greater engagement within the community, that sort of thing. That's the outline of the project. Is there any question about that? Is that clear?
Can you say just a few words on what your scavenger hunt thing is?
Yes. So the scavenger hunt is, there will be pieces that will be displayed all over town. And so that gives people the opportunity to engage with different parts of our community, get out of your car, walk around town and find these pieces.
These what? Teachers?
The art pieces.
Additional art pieces. So in a scavenger hunt, you don't mean, a scavenger hunt to me is generally you try to go and find something and get it and bring it somewhere, but you just mean it's just sends you to different places. Is that what you're saying?
To different places, and then through the QR code that you interact with, you're able to collect pieces of the puzzle that collectively address all these issues, social justice around climate change.
And when you say collect pieces of the puzzle, do you mean mentally or physically?
Mentally.
Thank you.
No problem. But also within that, there'll be resources, right? So, but yes, mental
Okay.
resources.
Thank you.
Barbara, you had a question?
Well, I'm just trying to put all the pieces together. I mean, there's a sculpture that's going to be created possibly at Coffee and More, and maybe even numerous sculptures that are physical and probably installed somewhere. And then there's a QR code scavenger hunt. I'm just thinking this is a huge project, because not only is there going to be requests for people to create something, there's also requests for the public to participate, and that's a whole nother level of, I'm going to call it audio visual, because I'm kind of a neophyte, but there seems to be two things going on at least, and I'm wondering if first time out with something so special and creative and compelling, if this may be a lot, and if there's any way to condense it a little bit without ruining the vision, without stifling any creativity, especially if we're trying to ask other people to participate. Just seems pretty big.
So Barbara, you saying like maybe have different phases and just focus on the first phase?
That's a great idea. Yes, I hadn't thought of that, but that makes it a lot more manageable, and possibly getting more and more people involved, especially with different skills, the tech industry, as well as the art industry, as well as the business industries, and local businesses being perhaps sites for the progression of them, or even making things on site at different businesses. Excuse me. So yeah, thanks. Because I think that the idea of having them in phases is a great one.
I like that too. Thank you. So I need help like that. Other minds.
Yeah. That's a good progression.
Lars, did you have any questions?
So Nellie, do you guys need help in the fabrication of the piece that's happening at Orchard View, or at that level?
That one we don't, but the central art piece, which is, so the main theme, right, that we're trying to express is giving people the perspective of interconnectivity, how every action has a reaction. and
Mhm.
having a central piece, which we had thought would be a kaleidoscope that could be fashioned with glass, different glass pieces that each community member, anybody who wanted to contribute, could be a part of. And then as we look through that lens, we're looking through the lens of interconnectivity.
Huh.
That's our like general overall shape. And so that piece, yes, we do need engineering design help. And I was hoping Emma could be one of the folks since he works with upcycled materials, but will take any help.
Who did you say? Sorry.
Emwa, the gentleman on Florence.
You
Oh,
mean Patrick,
Patrick.
MEO.
Patrick
Emil.
and
Yeah.
Brigitte.
I think a good resource right around the corner from Coffee and More is the Chimera Makerspace.
Yes,
Jim Wheaton. I would give Jim a call and just see if, because it's not just him or them, it's a whole group of people who take classes there and work there. It might be a really nice collaboration.
yes, it's been on my mind. Thank you for that reminder.
Mhm.
Thanks, Lars. Jeff, do you have any questions?
I think simplifying it makes a lot of sense, as Barbara pointed out. And after simplifying it, there are particular things, and I think Lars was kind of getting that with the engineering piece, but particular categories that you specifically need help with. If you can kind of break that out, that perhaps one or more of us, or perhaps we know somebody else as well, might be able to assist you with those specific tasks.
Okay, so if we have a list of what needs to be accomplished, then we could distribute that and see if there's anybody with that skill set or availability.
Mhm.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
go ahead.
Carrie, I saw you raise your hand.
Sorry, I'm gonna unmute myself first this time. Yeah, so Sonali, I just posted Jim Wheaton's email into the chat. So that's all I wanted to say is I just pulled up his email quick and if that helps.
It does help. Thank you kindly. Yes.
So I would also like to understand the list of exactly what you need. Do you need help advertising? Do you need help with the QR codes? Do you need help with the website? Do you need help with the actual sculptures? And then also, have you thought about we have so many sculptures in town, so many sculptures that have been not just made by Patrick Amio, but by other folks that are used with materials that are recycled. Have you thought about putting some QR codes on them, maybe reaching out to some of those artists, and then that takes a little bit of the work away from you. You're using what we already have in town. We have a lot of sculptures. And then you have your base one and you send them around to sculptures that we already have existing. Maybe the scope of the project that you're taking on is really big and we could just kind of use what we already have, but just an idea.
Good idea.
You do have the list of exactly what you need from, website to materials and
It's in this art project proposal.
down.
I could break it down and pull those out and email it to you. Would that work?
Sure.
Okay. I could list it out so that it's more specific. As
Oh,
far
I see it. I just got it here. So you're saying,
I was going to say another thought along what Jem was just asking about is our new CSG, which we're talking about today. The QR codes could also be
Mm.
added to those sculptures.
Mhm.
what is that, love?
so
Oh,
we're doing a community sculpture garden. It's going to be placed right in front of Ives Park along the path that goes next to the Sebastopol Center for the Arts. There are at least, I think, Jeffrey Zankles might be created with some reused, recycled materials. There's a couple that might work that would be within the theme of what you're talking about. We don't have one by Patrick Amio in the sculpture garden at this time, but there's certainly plenty. I would suggest you steer away from Florence Avenue. People don't necessarily want more attraction to Florence at this time. But there's plenty of Patrick's sculptures around town that would be great for something like that. But I'm looking at your list here and I don't see a specific list of exactly where it is that you want specific help. And I think that would help us a little bit more.
Okay.
So-
So for today, for this morning, what can we do? It sounds like it's not clear enough what the needs are at this moment. We're waiting, then we would wait for your email for people to decide whether they will volunteer to assist in the project. Is there anything else that we would do this morning?
I appreciate the some of the redirection and the suggestions. No, I think so. My next step would be to give you a more specific list of what the asks are and see how people could help. That sounds good.
Another
Okay.
suggestion would be, Sonali, as you break out the different pieces or steps of this project, is perhaps some suggested dates at which you'd like to accomplish, particularly those earliest steps.
Okay. Originally, we were thinking about launching for the Apple Blossom Fair Parade and having the pieces as part of that before they get situated. Yeah, that was our original deadline, and it feels more accessible if we're not, if we're phasing it out. Where I just love this idea of phases. So we get the pieces accomplished first, and then we move on to the next phase of like the materials. Then it feels like the Apple Blossom Fair would be accessible.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, great, thanks. Do you have anything else? And
No, I think so. The next thing would be making a, we have a proposal form that the community can fill out to engage in an art piece. And so probably figuring that part out and sending it out to the community to start engaging people in pieces would be good. But I'll run it by you folks first.
that's great, thanks. I do see that as part of the Google Doc that you sent out, the proposal form. Okay, great.
Barbara?
We'll take a really close look at this. And I think that, you know, they're looking at this whole entire project as a whole. I think that there's a lot of places where some of us might be able to jump in and help. But then again, we don't know if that's where you need help or not. So yeah, if you could email or even just come back at the next meeting and just really specific, you know, where can we help?
Okay.
Let us know. That'd be great.
Thank you. Barbara, you were going to share.
I just was, when you said you have a list to send the proposals to, who do you have in mind to
We
be?
don't have a list, but we want to send it out to like the Bohemian and the Gazette
Oh,
and
for advertising the project? Oh, I see. Okay.
yeah, like
Thank you.
announcing it and soliciting
Like a press release?
yes,
Okay, got it.
and giving people access, you know, so that we can we want to engage as many people as possible,
Right, okay, thank
right?
you.
So that they can get their creative juices flowing. So given my timeline, maybe I should just come back to you next month. That would like give me enough time to feel organized. Does that work for you folks?
I think we should look at the email and then proceed from there before scheduling.
Okay. Fair enough.
All right, sounds
Okay.
great. Thanks so much for coming. And we do have the December meeting planned. So yeah, we'll take a good look at this, see if we can't get you back on the agenda for next month.
Okay.
And thank you. Thanks so much for all of your work. And
Thank
what a great
you. Thank
Yeah.
I know, yeah. So I
Thank
think given where I'm at, it'll take me 3 weeks to get you an email. And then you guys can decide whether we need to come back and convene.
I think that should be enough. A week ahead would be enough to agendize that, right, Carrie? Yep, she's.
Yep, that's fine. Yep.
Okay, so the 24th of November.
Okay, great, thanks.
Okay, thank you so much.
And actually,
folks.
Sunil, sorry, thank you. That is actually a city holiday, so I just want to make sure. For the 1st, we will actually be getting the packet out a little bit earlier, but that's fine. We can put it on the agenda. And Sunil, you can still send out, but the 24th is still fine. We'll just forward on a supplemental information to the group.
Okay, and when is that meeting? December what?
First,
Okay, December 1st.
And if that didn't work, would the January meeting work for you?
Sure.
Okay,
Then of
just to
course.
look ahead.
Okay, appreciate groupthink. So thank you for each of your ping pongs in it.
thank you.
Thank you.
Good luck.
Okay, bye folks.
Bye. Okay, let's go back to the agenda here, and it looks like here is where we adjourn. And then we're gonna go down to the sculpture park. So
Correct.
do we re-adjourn there, or do we just come, all run home and then re-meet to close the meeting?
No, so we can adjourn there. So what we'll do, and I'm sorry for any confusion on this, but this is a little odd circumstance. We'll adjourn the meeting here and reconvene it at the park. We won't obviously be videotaping that, but it'll be the discussion of the sites that go where, and obviously the final site selection will be in the minutes. And then once we're done with that portion of the meeting, we'll simply adjourn, and we'll adjourn it to the next regular meeting on that December 1st.
Okay, I feel we need to also discuss some other items. And as I sent, if we wanted to get this, the opening before Christmas, then we have 6 weeks, which means basically one other meeting. Otherwise, maybe looking at, New Year's or something. But I think to ride the wave of some communal timing would be helpful. So what we, in addition to the placement somehow today, and Carrie said that this was on the agenda, is to look at plans for installation and plans for the opening in terms of outreach,
So
PR.
that's what I do not see on the agenda today. I see update sculpture placement and discuss filling the 2 additional pads with sculpture. So if I'm not mistaken, we could discuss that at the next meeting, or Carrie can let us know if we can add that information onto today's agenda.
Right.
Okay, I thought she said we did.
I think we can. So it's, and I apologize, I should have just said sculpture garden logistics, and that would certainly cover everything.
Okay.
But because this is more sort of like, it is related to the sculpture garden and the placement of them. The installation is part of placement, and when that's going to be done and when the thing would open. I think we can discuss. We'll also agendize at the next meeting because I anticipate there will be follow-up needed for that.
Okay.
So we can get it started at this meeting, and we'll put it on for a full.
So the idea is that when we go out there after discussing placement, we're going to be standing there also and discussing installation and the opening.
Yeah, so the installation in my mind is the coordination of that is part of the sculpture placement, which is why I think it's okay to discuss at this. If you, and it's up to the committee, if you don't feel that the discussion of opening is adequately agendized, we can certainly leave that for the next meeting. But I don't think discussing potential dates is out of bounds either.
Jeff had a question.
Do we
Yeah,
know? Oh, I'm sorry.
2 things. One is also the resolution for signage at the CSG, and also is at least one of us going to be carrying a hard copy with the photographs of the sculptures to
I do.
the CSG this morning?
Also,
like-
Barbara has, and also I sent everyone, so you might have it on your phone, all the photos.
Yes. Barbara, go ahead, and then I think we should wrap this up and I'll talk about this there.
Okay, good. But I just wanted to verify that Public Works is able to install these by a certain date so that, I mean,
Let's
backing up
Talk
to
about that there. That's
Okay.
definitely part of the agenda
Yeah.
that we're going to discuss while we're there. Before I move to adjourn or have somebody move to adjourn, do you want to skip ahead and do the quick planning department report so we can get that out of the way and then we'll meet at Ives Park?
Sure, we can certainly do that. We'll just skip this agenda item and then move to item 7. Sure. So let's see. There was a city council meeting last night as well as a special, and thank you, Barbara, for attending that actually. I think I saw you there. As well as a special meeting last Wednesday night, and that's regarding a potential safe parking 24/7 RV parking to try to work with the Morris Street parking, RV parking issues. The city council last Wednesday at their special meeting did sign a letter of intent to try to move forward and find a site for that. They are still working on that project, and I believe December 1st is the date that is due to the county, so that it will be on their upcoming items as well. We did have, in terms of Hyde Park, we had a great session at our last planning commission meeting regarding naturalization of Calder Creek, both within the park as well as looking at potential improvements downstream closer to the Laguna, so east of Hot Monk, north of the trail, and south of the coastal annex, where the Calder Creek has an outflow, stormwater outflow. It's actually where some of the flooding happened during the big storm. So improvements there that are sort of natural, but also with the stormwater is definitely of interest to the city. We certainly heard some report from the community on that as well. So that project is ongoing. Their next meeting, which will be talking through the scope of the design elements, will be December 14th, I believe. Let's see, I think that's most of what I have for the updates right now. I'm sorry, the council meeting went to quite late last night, so I'm a little foggy. But if you have any questions, I'm happy to address those during this item.
Thank you. All right, with that done, let's get a motion to adjourn.
Motion.
Anybody want to give a second?
Second.
Okay, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All in favor say nay. We are
Okay.
moved to adjourn, and we'll see y'all in Ives Park in just a few.
On your mark, get set.